When you truly awaken to your authentic self, the world begins to feel threatening in ways you never imagined. Carl Jung devoted decades to studying individuals who experienced spiritual awakening, and he uncovered a realization that stayed with him throughout his life. The greatest danger to an awakened person is not ignorance or obvious malice. It is the unconscious envy and shadow projection of those around them. Jung identified 5 essential truths that spiritually awakened individuals should never disclose to anyone. These are not about being secretive or manipulative. They are psychological survival principles grounded in how the unconscious mind functions in people who have not confronted their inner world. In this video, I will explain the 5 things Jung advised awakened individuals to keep private and why exposing them can dismantle everything you have worked to build. Let's begin with the most critical of them all. The first thing you must never reveal is your complete certainty about what you perceive. When spiritual awakening occurs, a shift takes place in your awareness. You stop questioning your intuition. You begin to rely on what you sense about people, circumstances, and underlying dynamics. This is not arrogance. It is what Jung described as differentiated perception. You have integrated your shadow, strengthened your intuition, and learned to trust the information your unconscious mind processes. However, this is where the difficulty begins. When you express this certainty to others, they often interpret it as a challenge to their own sense of reality. Consider Jung's findings on shadow projection. Individuals who have not integrated their shadow struggle to tolerate someone who fully trusts their perceptions. Your confidence activates their insecurity, and in the unconscious mind, insecurity can quickly turn into anger. Jung noted that awakened individuals who openly showed assurance in their perceptions often became targets of what he called the righteous judge archetype. People did not criticize them for being incorrect, but for appearing too certain. The response is predictable. You think you know everything. You are arrogant. You are judging others. Yet, this reaction is projection. The awakened person is not claiming omniscience. They are simply confident in what they genuinely understand. And that confidence can feel intolerable to those still caught in self-doubt and patterns of people-pleasing. Consider what happens when you tell someone that you can see beyond the mask they present. Even if you express it calmly, even if your observation is entirely accurate, people may still react against you. Why? Because you have disrupted the unconscious agreement that supports most social systems. That agreement is simple. We collectively pretend not to notice what we clearly see. We cooperate in maintaining comfortable illusions. The moment you state your certainty, you break that silent contract. And when unconscious agreements are broken, there is often a social cost. Jung recorded numerous examples of awakened individuals who lost employment, relationships, and credibility simply because they spoke with confidence about their perceptions. The answer is not to return to self-doubt. The answer is to keep your certainty private. Observe everything. Trust your insight, but do not broadcast your awareness to those who are not ready to confront it. Your certainty is a source of strength, but only when it is protected from those who may attempt to undermine it. The second secret you must never disclose is your internal map of transformation. Spiritual awakening does not produce random change. It leads to intentional development. Jung described this as the individuation process. You deliberately examine your wounds, integrate your shadow, strengthen your weaker psychological functions, and work toward inner wholeness. This process is not unclear or abstract. It is structured and intentional. You understand where you started, where you currently stand, and where you are heading. You hold a clear map of your own psychological landscape, something most people never take the time to create. However, sharing this map with others carries a real risk. When people recognize that you have a defined plan for your own growth, they understand that they can no longer influence or manage you as they once did. And for those operating unconsciously, control over others often feels essential. Consider how family systems function. Many families are built around patterns of dysfunction. One person adopts the role of the victim. Another becomes the rescuer. Someone else is assigned the scapegoat. These roles are not accidental. They are unconscious arrangements that maintain balance within the family structure. When you awaken and begin integrating your shadow, you step out of the role that was given to you. You recognize the pattern clearly and choose not to participate. This destabilizes the system because your growth challenges the agreements that kept it intact. If you disclose your transformation strategy, you unintentionally provide others with a guide to disrupt your progress. They will focus on the very areas where you are evolving. They will attempt to draw you back into familiar behaviors at the precise moments when you are moving beyond them. Jung noticed this pattern repeatedly. Awakened individuals would share their journey of healing with family or close friends, only to find those same people targeting them at the most sensitive points of their transformation. The answer is strategic discretion. Do your inner work. Develop your map. Transform intentionally, but keep your plan to yourself. Let others witness the results of your growth, not the steps that led there. This approach shields your progress from unconscious interference. Recall what Jung observed about empaths who finally reached their breaking point. They had been quietly observing and analyzing those who harmed them for years, preparing a strategic response in silence. The path of an awakened person is similar: silent, deliberate, methodical, and completely concealed from those who might obstruct it. The third secret you must never disclose is your threshold for betrayal. Integrating your shadow changes the way you respond to harm. Before awakening, you may have tolerated mistreatment, justified others' behavior, or blamed yourself when hurt. After awakening, you cultivate what Jung called selective empathy. You still care deeply, but you no longer sacrifice yourself for people who have revealed their true nature. This boundary is not about revenge or cruelty. It is about clarity. You know which behaviors are unacceptable and what actions you will take if those boundaries are crossed. This is a sign of psychological maturity. However, revealing this boundary can be extremely risky. When manipulative individuals become aware of your exact limits, they are likely to test them relentlessly, pushing right up to the edge. Or even worse, they may attempt to provoke you into enforcing your boundaries too early, making you appear as the aggressor. Jung observed that awakened empaths became psychologically resilient once they learned to enforce boundaries without warning. The manipulator would cross the line, expecting the old pattern of forgiveness and tolerance, but instead, they face immediate and decisive consequences. Because the awakened person never disclosed their boundaries in advance, the manipulator had no chance to prepare, justify their behavior, or rally others to their side. Consider what happens when you explicitly say, "If you betray me again, I will cut you off completely." You've essentially handed them your strategy. They now know they must make you doubt yourself, recruit others to view you as unreasonable, or gaslight you into questioning your own perception. By keeping your boundaries secret, any betrayal meets instant consequences. No negotiation, no explanation, no drama. The awakened person simply removes themselves from the situation, leaving the manipulator bewildered and unsure of what just occurred. This is what Jung referred to as the weaponization of compassion. True compassion defends itself silently. It does not announce its limits to those who would exploit them. Keep your threshold for betrayal completely private. Understand precisely what you will and will not tolerate, but never reveal that knowledge to anyone who might challenge it. The fourth secret that must remain hidden is your sacred wound. Every spiritually awakened person carries trauma. Jung described this as a compulsion to repeat. Before shadow integration, people unconsciously recreate their original wounds with new people and in new circumstances, trapped in cycles they do not fully understand. But after shadow integration, a transformation occurs. Your wound becomes a source of your power. You recognize the patterns that once controlled you, process the pain, integrate the lessons, and emerge with wisdom capable of helping others. This is profound. It is the essence of the hero's journey. Yet, exposing your fully processed wound is risky because it can tempt others to drag you back into victimhood. Jung's studies of archetypes are illuminating here. The eternal victim is a strong archetypal force. When people see that you have been hurt but are no longer suffering, they unconsciously attempt to pull you back into the victim role. Why? Because your healing challenges the rationale they use to justify remaining stuck in their own pain. If you disclose your sacred wound to someone still trapped in victim consciousness, they may continue treating you as if you are broken. They may reference your past trauma as though it still defines you, offer pity instead of respect, and remind you of your pain when you're focused on your power. This is rarely malicious. It is unconscious. Those who have not healed their own wounds cannot handle being near someone who has transformed suffering into strength. Your recovery acts as a mirror, reflecting their choice to remain stagnant. Jung also noted another danger. Revealing your sacred wound can attract what he called negative synchronicity. New people may enter your life, unconsciously reenacting the very patterns that caused your original trauma. It is as if the universe tests whether you have truly learned the lesson by presenting the same challenge in a new form. By keeping your sacred wound private, you protect yourself from these unconscious repetitions. You can still share your wisdom to help others, but from a place of strength rather than shared suffering. The awakened person knows their wound deeply, yet they do not display it to the world. They transform it into medicine, and medicine is given intentionally to those ready to receive it, not broadcast to everyone curious about your scars. The fifth and final secret you must never reveal is your uncanny perfection. This may seem contradictory, but stay with me. When you engage in deep shadow work, you cultivate what Jung called the conscious persona. You understand that the mask you wear in society is just that, a mask. Unlike those dominated by their personas, you use yours intentionally. You know how to present yourself in ways that make others comfortable. You can read social dynamics and adjust your behavior to different settings. You are not being fake. You are adaptable. You have developed a level of psychological sophistication that lets you navigate the world without compromising your authenticity. But this comes with a risk. If you reveal that you are deliberately using your persona as a tool, others may feel manipulated, even when you are not. People want to believe that what they see is the entirety of who you are. They need to assume your social mask reflects your true self. Showing that you are far more complex than your persona implies can trigger anxiety. They begin to question everything. If you control your outward appearance, what else are you hiding? If you can read social dynamics so clearly, what have you noticed about me? Jung observed that awakened individuals often develop near-perfect social skills. Yet this very perfection became a danger because it exposed their level of awareness. People started feeling as if they were being observed, analyzed, or silently judged. The solution is what Jung called hiding your light. You preserve your ability to read people and navigate complex social situations, but you intentionally display small imperfections. You allow yourself to appear slightly flawed, slightly awkward, slightly human. This is not deceit. It is strategic humility. You are protecting others from their own unconscious reaction to your development, giving them space to feel comfortable rather than threatened. Remember the scapegoat phenomenon Jung documented. Highly evolved individuals often became targets of collective shadow projection, simply because their presence exposed a group's hidden dysfunction. By concealing your uncanny perfection, you shield yourself from becoming the repository for everyone else's unintegrated shadow. Now that you understand the 5 secrets, you might wonder if keeping them hidden makes you manipulative or inauthentic. Jung addressed this directly in his work on individuation. The goal is not to be an open book. It is to be psychologically whole while remaining socially effective. Think of it like this. A surgeon does not explain surgical techniques to everyone they meet. A martial artist does not announce their skill level to every passerby. Power that advertises itself loses its potency. The awakened person recognizes that consciousness is inherently threatening to the unconscious world. Not because it attacks, but because it exposes what others desperately try to hide. Your certainty exposes their doubt. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Your boundaries expose their exploitation. Your healing exposes their victimhood. Your excellence exposes their chaos. You are not responsible for managing how others unconsciously respond to your development, but you are responsible for protecting your own psychological growth from those who would unknowingly undermine it. Jung spent decades documenting the consequences when awakened individuals revealed too much too soon. They were targeted, isolated, gaslit, and sometimes broken by collective forces they could not anticipate. Not because they were wrong, but because they violated unconscious social agreements about what level of awareness was acceptable. The 5 secrets are not about becoming secretive or withdrawn. They are about being strategically aware of what you share and with whom. You can still be authentic. You can still form deep connections. You can still use your gifts to help others, but you do so wisely. You share your certainty only with those who have earned the right to hear it. You reveal your transformation plan only to those who genuinely support your growth. You enforce your boundaries without announcing them to those who would challenge them. You protect your sacred wound from those who might exploit it, and you conceal your perfection from those who might exploit it. This is not manipulation. It is psychological sovereignty. Jung understood that true sovereignty requires not only power, but also the wisdom to withhold that power from those unprepared to honor it. Here's a revelation Jung discovered that changes everything. The awakened person's greatest power is not in what they reveal, but in what they perceive while revealing nothing. Silence paired with awareness creates a psychological force that manipulative individuals cannot overcome. By keeping these 5 secrets, you become what Jung called a conscious observer. You see everything. You understand the games people play. You detect shadow projection before it fully manifests. Yet you do not react, defend, or disclose what you know. This unsettles unconscious people. They are accustomed to getting responses, witnessing defense, or persuading others of their truth. The awakened person does none of this. They observe, make strategic choices, and enforce boundaries without explanation. Recall what Jung said about the empath who fully integrates their shadow. They do not lose empathy. They gain perfect empathy, which also means perfect strategic awareness. The awakened person functions on the same principle. They are conscious enough to know when to reveal awareness and when to protect it. If you are spiritually awake, you already recognize the truth in this. You have likely lost relationships, jobs, or opportunities because you revealed too much to people unprepared for your level of consciousness. The good news is that you can begin protecting these 5 secrets today. Stop announcing your certainty. Keep your transformation plan private. Maintain your boundaries without disclosure. Safeguard your sacred wound. And conceal your extraordinary perfection from those who might misuse it. Doing this does not make you less authentic. It makes you more mature. True authenticity is not about sharing everything with everyone. It is about being fully yourself while skillfully navigating a world not yet ready for the level of consciousness you embody. Jung's final insight about awakened individuals offers a perfect conclusion. Consciousness is not a destination. It is a responsibility. When you awaken, you take on the duty of protecting your awareness from forces that might seek to undermine it. The 5 secrets are your shield. Keep them close. Trust what you see. Transform quietly. Enforce boundaries without warning. Guard your wounds from exploitation. And hide your perfection from those unable to handle it. This is not paranoia or isolation. It is wisdom. Wisdom knows when to speak and when to remain silent. The spiritually awake person has mastered both. If you see yourself in Jung's description of the awakened, you are part of a rare group carrying consciousness forward for humanity. Share in the comments which of the 5 secrets resonates most with your experience. Your journey can inspire others walking the same path. Subscribe for more insights into Jung's discoveries on spiritual awakening and psychological sovereignty. If you are ready to explore further, check out my video The Day the Empath Snaps, where I reveal Jung's most striking case study on what happens when empaths fully integrate their shadow and become psychologically invincible.